Hello, hello. Welcome to Confidence in Cabaret, the podcast. I'm Heather Jean, and I am here with Leigh W Walker, and we are going to have a fabulous conversation all about Neuro Linguistic Programming, otherwise known as NLP, timeline therapy, and just all about Leigh Walker's work. So welcome, Leigh. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited as well.
This is a topic that I love. If I could pick a career, it would be yours. I mean, I know we can pick a career, but I adore your topic. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Leigh W Walker and who you are and what you're all about?
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, I'm a mum. I have 2 kids. I'm a health and wellness coach, NLP practitioner and timeline therapist, and online affiliate marketer. And I'm a massive stand for women stepping into their power, in their confidence, in ridding all of the things that hold us back from reaching our glass ceiling and living that really lit up life that we all desire and deserve to be living. So I'm very passionate about low tox living, sustainability, self-care, self-love, all of those sort of things, which is why I so love supporting women and became a coach in the first place. I used to live my life from a very disempowered space, victim mentality. I was very much never set boundaries, a people pleaser, always bought into my own excuses, and confidence was a big one for me, that I didn't really put myself out there to go after what I wanted, because I always told myself that I wasn't good enough, I didn't know enough, I wasn't confident enough. And, so I just sort of shrunk away and settled for playing small, because it was comfortable, until I got to the point where being comfortable was very uncomfortable. I had my line in the sand moment, and I just wanted more for my kids. I wanted to make a bigger impact in the world. I wanted to support other women to get out of the place that I had been in as well, which is why I studied health coaching originally for myself, my family, to learn more about nutrition and health and well-being. And that really sparked my passion for knowing that every woman on the planet needs to hear this stuff, So I became a coach, and then fairly recently NLP practitioner and timeline therapist, because I'd experienced that myself. One of my beautiful best mates is NLP trained, and she's a trainer. So I was able to go through and do my training through her. And I've had sessions with her quite a while ago with timeline therapy. And it was so incredibly powerful and quite instant in the results, that I just knew then everyone needs access to this stuff. And I knew right then, as soon as I'd experienced it, that was definitely my path, and that I wanted to study that to be able to create more of an impact within my coaching.
Beautiful. So what does working with you entail? So, because you just covered like a huge amount of there. So how do I know what's your client niche, I guess, is my question.
Well, I'm a mum myself, and I know all too well what it's like to give our power away as a mama. We're nurturers, we give, and rarely do we give to ourselves. So I love working with women, especially mums who have felt like they've lost their way, want to love themselves that bit more, have know that there's more out there for the taking for them, and they're just not sure how to actually get there.
Nice. Okay, so then that's when your toolkit kicks in, because you can go off in whatever direction that your client needs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. So can you just explain, for anyone who's never heard of NLP or Neuro Linguistic Programming, what that's about?
Yeah, so it's really, everyone is so wired differently. So it's the study of the language and our internal representational systems. So we all view the world in different ways. So it's really able to tap into that, learn about how we view the world. And we all, there are different terms which you would know on, kinesthetic people who feel, there's auditory, there's visual. So we all learn in different ways. And it's really opened my eyes, especially as a mum with my kids, to learn about their different learning styles, because I was not allowing my son to listen to music while he was studying, because I was saying, no, you can't concentrate, until I learned that his auditory. Like that's his way. It's just not my way. And it's really opened my eyes up by discovering this and learning how we view the world. So it's really, we're able to tap into that. We're able to talk to people in their language, which is really powerful. And so, so it's Neuro Linguistic Programming is that study of the language of our internal representational systems. And timeline therapy is incredibly powerful process to really get to the root cause of emotions and limiting beliefs. We don't have to sit with therapists for 5 years talking about our problems. We actually can get to the root cause and shift it like that. Like, it is really, really powerful. So we all have our own timeline, and this process actually takes us back to, so we clear the 5 main emotions is one of the processes, which is a really important process to do. So we have anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. And we go back to the very first event. Our unconscious mind will take us to that very first event where we experience that emotion. And then we get to learn the positive learnings from that event, because what we do, we're very good at stacking our emotions throughout our lifetime. So we can be taken back to a past life. So we can have many moons of this emotion getting stacked, and that actually has a result of how we respond to that when we're faced with different situations in our life. And if we've stacked that emotion for so long, we're very reactive. And so clearing that, I look at it as like unhooking a backpack. When we do this process, it's like getting rid of this weight off our shoulders, so that when we come across that emotion in the future, we're more responsive to that. We don't have the triggers of all of these years of our past programmings and beliefs on our shoulders. We're fresh, which is what I love about it. And the process of timeline therapy with self-limiting beliefs is that we're getting to the very first time we made that decision. It could have been in our imprint years from the ages of 0 to 7. We could have been in the classroom and put your hand up and you get reprimanded by a teacher, and you could have made a decision right there and then that I'm not confident to speak up. It could be, and then you play that out for your entire life. And so it's really powerful getting back to there, and we get the positive learnings out of that, and we can shift it just so instantly and create a whole new lease on life and a whole new attitude towards, and new belief systems. We create new beliefs out of that process.
Beautiful. I love what you do. And I think, it's interesting how many patterns there are just in, like, if you just think about school days, like, I didn't notice these things when I went to school, but I noticed them when my children went to school. Like, I was quite angry that they had to put up their hand and ask if they could go and, go to the toilet. And I understand the need to control 30 children in a room and all of that. I get logistics, but there is something internal to us that kind of makes us ask for permission. And I see that all the time when I go into corporate clients where women are asking for permission to do something that they really need to do. And I'm saying, you don't need to ask permission. First of all, I have no power. And second of all, you get to do what you need to do. That's how it is, But it's interesting how much we store that, and we just keep repeating it, like you say, throughout our lives. And I guess a lot of the blocks are things around decisions that we make as adults, like that, like you say, are imprinted. I'm just thinking of examples like how I do a lot of work on body confidence, or how I feel about my body, will be imprinted from things my mother has said. I keep hearing those. That's work. And that's a lot of work if you do it the manual way. And what you're talking about with timeline therapy is to shift it almost instantaneously. I think it's the opposite of psychotherapy.
Yes, absolutely. It is. And I can so relate to that too with your mother. Like, I've had a lot of self-esteem issues over my time. And when I look back, I look at how my mum was, in my first years, and I've definitely taken on those beliefs. But then I look at my grandmother, and it's not my mum's fault. It's, passed down genealogically as well through, can be passed down through generations. And we just feel like we go through our life thinking it's truth, thinking that that's our truth, and they're not our stories. They're so not our stories. Same with money beliefs, money stories. They're usually what we've picked up from, from our carers in those imprint years, and they're not true. It's amazing how powerful it is to be able to let that BS go.
Yes. So now I work with those principles as well, and I think a lot of people are very surprised by. I think they're not surprised when you say to them, like, where did this start? I think they would expect that you go back to root cause. I think they would even expect that you sort of forgive the person who imprinted those things. Because my mom was doing her best, right? She wasn't doing it to be detrimental, and in most cases, then that's true. But why do you work with finding the positives of that, right? Because, like, if I'm thinking about, these are terrible beliefs, why is it important that I find the positives in that?
Yeah, so I'll just go back to what you said then about, people often will remember when the first time is, but that may not be the root cause, because we're tapping into the unconscious mind. The unconscious stores everything. And it will, when we talk to the unconscious mind, it can show us things that our conscious mind doesn't remember, which is usually well before our first memory, our conscious memory. Yes. So getting the positive learnings out of that, or find when I'm going through these processes with clients, the negative comes out first. Especially if we're doing anger, like releasing emotions and things first. Most people live in an effect state, which is an NLP term, that cause and effect. Majority of people are living in effect, being the effect of their decisions. They're limiting, those negative emotions. And so they come out first. And the reason we shift into the positive, it's getting, okay, so what can I learn about this? It's getting us into the cause, being self-responsible. It's getting into that positive state, and it's okay to let it go. Like, we get the realization and the physiology change in people when they actually get those learnings. It is that positive, because we're releasing that negative. So of course, like the positive learnings, they're going to be coming into a cause state, which is a very powerful state to be in.
Absolutely. So you've used this for yourself. Obviously, you experienced this and then decided to spend more time qualifying in it and sharing it with others. How has it changed your perspective? How has it changed your results even?
Yeah, so I set myself this glass ceiling that I never thought that I could break through because of my belief systems. And when I was away on this retreat, doing really deep diving into this with other women, I had so many aha moments that I didn't even think what existed, about my mum. My beautiful mum has Parkinson's, and I haven't got past my money stories and all of that because of my beliefs around me having to. It's amazing how it's all related. Me having to protect my mum. The hurt emotion for me was my unconscious mind took me back to a car accident that I don't consciously remember, that I was in with my mum. I asked her about that, and we were in a car accident, and I had to leave her. I was taken away from her, and so I came up with that belief that it was my job to protect my mum, but I was so hurt that I had to be. So I've got this attachment issue with my mum, and that it's my job to fix it. Like, I've been able to clear all of the stuff that what's happening to her is not my responsibility, which is huge for me, huge in my world. And with money stories, I took on my parents' money stories in that it was hard to make. Money is hard to make, and you have to work your absolute bum off to make a decent living, and there's still never enough. That was what my parents played out in their life, and so I was always hitting that glass ceiling because I always felt that's not enough. When I get some, it's not enough. It's always got to go. And so I was able to clear this belief it took me back to a time. I'm just trying to remember where it took me back. See, now it's hard for me to tap into it. I cleared it all away. Tap into where it was that I was taken for that money belief, in that, yeah, it's just not true. Their money belief, it's not true. I have changed my world from clearing out my money stories. Like, it's been a game changer. There's just so many aspects of it that I have cleared. I had an incident where I was, doing this dance in front of my family when I was super little, and my sister come and pushed me out of the way and said, "No, you don't do it that way. You do it like this." And so, like, I was taken back to a point in time, and my belief was that I need to ask for permission in case I'm not doing it right. So I always ask for everyone's permission, even shopping, like the simplest little things in my life, that I now can stand in my own power, make my own damn decisions because I got rid of that belief.
So, I fully agree with you that, most of the time where we think our root cause is coming from isn't. You can identify patterns. How do you get to those unconscious beliefs in your work?
So we ask the unconscious mind for permission to be able to go back to these root causes and ask permission that it is ready to let them go. We won't move forward unless the unconscious mind tells you. I'm an analytical person, and I let my conscious mind get in the way in a couple of these processes. So you just say, conscious mind, you can take a hike, go for a walk around the block for a minute, and trust yourself. So you trust what comes up with the unconscious mind. It knows, and so we ask for permission. I did a session recently where I asked that question, and she said, no. And she said, no, my conscious mind, logically, yeah, I'm ready. I want to let these go. She said, but my first answer that came up was, no, I'm not ready to let it go. So we can't move forward in that process. So she's going away to then start to have conversations with her unconscious mind and know that it's safe to let it go. So she's been in this position for so long that she felt unsafe to let it go because that was all she knows. That's been her security, her comfort zone. So we're going to reschedule to come back to that and when she is ready. So we can't move forward until we get that okay from the unconscious mind. And then it knows. It will take us back to events. We may not get visualizations. Everyone's different in how they go back to these events. Some will get clear images of things that they don't understand, and you don't need to understand them. Other people will get a feeling. They might smell something or sense something and get a feeling of something, and you can still gain your positive learnings from that.
Beautiful. Does this work with conditions that are like, for example, borderline personality disorder or anxiety or kind of those chronic things as well?
There are different processes for that, and it would just depend on each person. It would just depend on how deep that goes, and if that person's already having treatment from psychologists or different modalities, you need to actually get permission from those sort of people in order to work with timeline therapy. Because if they're doing certain treatments, and then you don't want to actually tap into trauma as well with timeline therapy, we need to be very careful with that. So it just depends on what exactly we're working with.
Interesting. I was talking with someone earlier today who was talking about, if I release some of these beliefs, who am I? I deeply relate to that because I spent decades being very frozen and very focused in masculine energy, which works for the corporate world. And I never would have left that had it not been for COVID. And then, all this feminine energy came out, and all of a sudden I had feelings, and not that I didn't have feelings, I just didn't relate to it in the same kind of way. And obviously that's a deep suppression, but I remember that feeling, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine about, if I let this go, like, what, I'm going to be empty inside. And if you go back to some of the earlier Confidence Through Cabaret podcasts, we've had different people who, work with the physical and, do all kinds of, physical rehabilitation stuff. And they often talk about that release. And I was saying, there are 2 or 3 podcast episodes where I was going, no, if you take that out, I'll be hollow. Like, what will happen? And so when this person said this today, well, I don't know who I'd be without these. I thought, I so relate to that. And so it's so important to hear your story about how, just how much you grew.
Yeah, I can so relate to that whole masculine energy. I was in corporate for 25 years and I can so relate to that masculine energy, and it's been a game changer too, to step into that feminine as well. But when we were doing these processes too, like saying that we don't know who we become, I had these same feelings and the same sort of fears, like, well, I don't know who I am without doing this. Like, I thrived on that go masculine, like who am I if I stop? Like I have all of these things going on. But when we work with these and getting rid of these limiting beliefs, we're creating new ones for you to attach to. So it's not like we're getting rid of them, we're giving you get direction. You actually have these beautiful new belief systems that will help you, and yeah, you're not left empty. You would know that. It's just a different way. It's just a new way, and you just evolve with it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know that the linguistic part of NLP is about how we talk to ourselves. And just before we started recording, we were talking about this, you know, fear becoming excitement. And I love that you said that, because that is how I go on stage. That is how because I do burlesque dancing. So that is how I go on stage, is I'm so excited. And I talk a lot about this in the Facebook community.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm
I've
here.
lost you.
I'm here. I can see you. I can hear you. You just can't hear me anymore.
I've actually lost you, Heather. You've gone. I don't know if you can hear me or see me, but
I can hear you.
I can't see me or hear you.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me just. Oh, you're not connected. Okay. I'm going to carry on talking about this because I think this is really important. You know, and we talk about this a lot in the Facebook community, in Confidence Through Cabaret, around that, you know, kind of, is it fear or is it excitement? Our bodies sense it and feel it in the same way. So when we're excited, you know, we can put whatever labels we want to put on that feeling. And when we're identifying it as fear, of course, that can be very difficult. So I just carried on talking, Leigh. Hey, welcome back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I can see myself again, but I can't see or hear you.
I can hear you. There we go. Oh no, I just typed a message to Leigh and I put I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't see you or hear you at all. This is bizarre. What I might do is just leave it and I'll pop back in. That will probably be the best way.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, so I want to carry on with this because I believe in perfectly imperfect, and I don't believe that we need to edit ourselves to make it all look seamless and flawless. I'm still here, and I'm still here with you. So, you know, it's a really important thing. And when I learned that, you know, tapping into the emotion as excitement, as opposed to fear, it was a game changer. I mean, it was like I can go on stage and go, I'm so excited to be here, and that is the same energy, but it feels safer for me in my own body. And I know, you know, it's a bit like being on a roller coaster. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, oh, I think Leigh's back. Are you there? Hi.
I don't know what happened there. You just all of a sudden dropped out, but I'm back. I
don't know. I carried on talking, and I was just talking about this fear and excitement. And you know, when I learned that is such a game changer for me, because it, you know, I was literally just saying it's a bit like being on a roller coaster. When you get to the top and you know you're going down, there's that experience of both terrified and thrilled at the same time, and you can make that choice of how you're describing that feeling to yourself and how you're expressing that feeling to yourself. And I think I can't think, you know, skiing is probably another time when you're just, I'm absolutely terrified and exhilarated in the same moment.
Yes, I love that. I remember when I first did a live stream, when I was building my personal brand and was going through this course, and one of the challenges was to do a live, and I was petrified. I had no confidence to be seen. I didn't, what if I stumble on my words? What if I'm not, you know, I don't show up perfect? And that doesn't even exist anyway. But at the time I was like, oh my goodness. And I was going on to chat for 2 minutes on a live. That's all my challenge was, to do 2 minutes. And it took me 45 minutes to hit the go live button. I procrastinated and I sat in fear. Like I let it consume me, because up until that point, I did not trust myself. Up until that point, I was consumed by fear in anything that I did, and that's why I kept playing small. And so I got to the point where I thought, okay, how am I going to feel if I give in to that fear and don't do this live? And I knew I would beat myself up for the rest of the day. So I finally hit that go live button. I spoke for 2 minutes. I could barely speak. I was shaking, and I got off, but I felt so exhilarated after it because I did it, and I'm like, I didn't die. It was safe. Like, and so the very next time took me 20 minutes to hit the live button, and I was able to do it a lot faster. The next time was 10 minutes. And then the more I did it, the confidence grew. So a lot of us will use the lack of confidence as our reason not to. But by actually ripping that band-aid off and doing it continuously creates the confidence. So we can't gain any confidence without actually doing the do.
Absolutely.
So yeah
absolutely. So I have spoken in all of my working life, since, I don't even want to say this, but since the 80s, I have been a training consultant of some sort, and I have always been in front of large audiences. I think my first audience was 500 people, and I had a microphone. And then I started getting rid of the microphone because I can project my voice well. And I was used to speaking in front of people. But when we started Confidence Through Cabaret in 2020, and we were doing a live on Facebook, I don't know whether it was because the whole world could potentially see it, but I made this such a big thing in my head. And the co-pioneer that I started with, two co-pioneers, and one of them said, all right, we're going live now, literally got their phone and did the thing. Now he's a millennial, so this is nature, right? Whole different philosophy. And we went live right there and then. I mean, I didn't have a moment to prepare. We didn't have a plan, anything. And as soon as that happened, I went, is that it? Like, I would have done the 45 minutes. And yet, for decades, I've spoken in front of large audiences. So I don't know what it is about this. We put up these blocks, and it's very context based. It's not like I can't speak in front of anybody ever. It's for me, it was very much about online.
Yeah. So totally. I'm not a public speaker. I haven't stepped in front of audiences like that. I used to freeze up. I was so great in high school and in front of audiences. I did love performing. And I'm a martial artist as well. So I was in competition after competition, being on the mat on my own, getting judged by everyone. I could do that. But like you said, it's a different context, when I thought that I'd be seen, and who's going to be on and see me? And I had all of this stuff because at the time as well, I cared what other people thought, didn't I? I was a people pleaser. And so get rid of all of that. It's just such a different change like you said, context is everything with how you show up. I think I've gone off tangent there.
So what does confidence mean for you? Like, because we keep using this word confidence, and then it's like, it's almost an intangible, isn't it? What does it mean for you?
It means just being able to stand in my own power, I think, and share my voice and be authentic and not really care what other people think. And I think it just means just to keep going, even with that, like turn the fear into excitement. But even with those nerves, confidence to me is doing it anyway, is not buying into your excuses to stop.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And it's not a constant. It's not like you get there and then you've got confidence and then you're done. It's never that. And especially if you're going to break your glass ceiling, because you're going to need to put yourself in new positions all the time and then remaster things. So it is a really wavy line. But I like to have that conversation because I think it's one of those, it's like motivation. We all know what it means, but defining it is different for people. So you have a program now. So we've gone from, 45 minutes to do a 2-minute live to now you have a program, Leigh.
I do. And this is the beauty of doing the inner work, I think, is just constantly evolving and growing to get to your next level. And I wanted to create a program for a very long time. And once I was able to shift through and do this work with NLP and timeline therapy, it's now been birthed because I've been able to get rid of all of that stuff that was holding me back. So yes, it's called Release and Rise. So it is a 4-week program. So during the first week, we tap into where they're at, where the beautiful soul is at, what their goals are, what their vision is, what they feel's been holding them back, where they need support in. And we just run through it's a 2-hour session, run through, we go dive deep into where they're at and set some tasks for them to start doing before our next session. And then week 2 is timeline therapy, where we clear all the 5 main emotions. So we go through all of that. Week 3, we do timeline therapy with self-limiting beliefs. And in the meantime, we've already nutted out what those self-limiting beliefs are. A lot of them can come down. There's very common ones. So we might have a list of 10, but all of them could relate to, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. There's usually some common ground within a lot of our belief systems. So we kind of nut that out and work out what the main ones are, what the underlying ones are, and we work with those during our timeline therapy session on limiting beliefs. And then session 4 is just a wrap up, and we go through goal setting, and we can use timeline therapy to actually future pace where we would like to be. And it's usually a 1-hour session. It just depends on the client. It's kind of, there's a structure, but it also then is flexible and adjusts to whoever I'm working with, what their needs are.
Beautiful. So Release and Rise is a 1-to-1 program with you.
It is, yes.
Brilliant. So it's not a set start date, and if you're hearing this and it's after the initial launch of this episode, then you can still get in touch with Leigh and find out about the program.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And just while we're on that subject, you can find Leigh as Leigh W Walker on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll just spell it. If you're listening to this on audio podcast, Leigh is spelled Leigh, and then the letter W for whiskey, and then Walker, Walker. And that's on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
So you can just send Leigh a message, right? And then you'll tell them about Release and Rise.
Absolutely. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful. I do also do one-on-one timeline therapy sessions as well, without the whole 4-week program. Mm-hmm. But the 4-week program is really designed to let people just go through the entire experience. So it's the coaching combined with the timeline therapy. So at the end of that, you will be leaving in a very empowered place, and you know where you're going. You've got your goals locked and loaded in that future time pace. So the 4 weeks is really powerful. However, there is that option of timeline therapy sessions. I won't do limiting beliefs if we haven't cleared the 5 main emotions yet. So it'll be 2 sessions for that, or 1 long session for both as well. So that's an option as well.
Brilliant. I can say, as an NLP practitioner, future pacing, if you've done the work and you've cleared the past, future pacing is fantastic.
It is.
So I would say, by all means, do the individual sessions if that serves you. But I'm just saying, future pacing is just so exciting, because you have this new lease on life, and then all of a sudden, right, you want to do something, and so you might as well set that up too.
Absolutely. And through that program, you learn how to do that yourself. You get to take that away with you, because you can do that with yourself with anything that you've got in life coming up. That it's not just, that's it, you're done, and whatever goal you set, that's the one you've locked and loaded. You can take that tool away with you and do that anytime that you've got something that you're ready to achieve.
Beautiful. I love this. I love this. I'm so excited for you in your new program, and especially now that you shared that you going online live, and then now here we are, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's so exciting for you. So I wanted to ask you a few questions that I ask all of my guests, and I have specific reasons which we'll talk about afterwards. But the questions that I love to share enable us to kind of get to know you in a different way, rather than your story or your work. Mm-hmm. And so this is the first time that you're listening to Confidence Through Cabaret, then I'll just explain that Cabaret, in my terms, it has a lot of different roots. Probably most known for the vaudeville roots, but it's Cabaret for me means being in a small venue with a small audience. So, for example, when Bette Midler talks about starting off singing in clubs, those would be cabaret clubs. When comedians talk about working in little comedy clubs, unless they were born into the into the family of names, they started in a small cabaret kind of setting. Historically, burlesque would be done in a small cabaret, although you can, of course, see Dita Von Teese in a huge theater with thousands and thousands of people. It's a cabaret act, but it's not cabaret anymore because it's in a large theater. So cabaret could be singing, could be dancing, could be comedy, could be drag king or drag queen, could be aerial contortion. Burlesque has a lot of different forms and different genres to it. So, Leigh, if you were performing some sort of act, and I know after you've just told us that going live is horrendous. But now that you've cleared all of this, if you were to be performing in a cabaret performance, what kind of act would you want to do?
Oh, I think burlesque. Yeah, my niece, she is a theatre performer, and she's done a lot of burlesque, and I've watched that. It's just so self-expressive. I just love watching burlesque. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful craft, and a lot of people think, oh, that's about, effectively more or less getting naked. It doesn't have to be. I mean, I've seen burlesque performances that have taken off just a layer. I've seen burlesque performances where they've added clothes. I've seen, all kinds of different things. So it's more about the storytelling and the narrative in expressing it through movement and dance and there's all kinds of things.
Absolutely. I was so drawn in watching my niece do. She's done multiple different types of the burlesque performance, and so I'm so captivated by the story and how they express themselves. It's sensual, it's masculine, it's feminine, it's all of it. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I have a couple of acts that I do that are all about the kind of who we're supposed to be as mommies, and then but we're not meant to be sexual, sensual, crazy, expressive beings ourselves. That are very clearly, that just because we're mothers doesn't mean that we, that you get to fetishize it or you get to shut down everything else that we are.
Yes, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. Okay, so you're gonna do a burlesque performance in this cabaret. One, like, you could have lots of different things, because with burlesque, they're it's through storytelling, and a lot of times we use props, including costume. But what one prop would you most want to have on stage with you?
Oh, wow, that's a really interesting question. Probably a chair. Probably a chair. My niece did lots of stuff with a chair. It was just kind of like a power statement. She was either standing on it or, depending on what character she was, you could do so much with it. Just like a nice anchor.
You really can. You really can. It's phenomenal how much you can do with it, because you can turn it over and use the underneath side of it. You can do acrobatics. You can do quite suggestive things. You could. Oh, I love that. I mean, you're walking around a chair. It's one of the first workshops I ever did. We have a member site on confidencecabaret.com, and we do master classes around raising confidence, particularly around business results. But I wanted to do some workshops for cabaret, because for my performing, and that was one of the first things I wanted to do. Was I need to get behind the chair, and people said, "I'll do a chair dancing workshop for you." No, I'm doing that one. I love it. There, it is such a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay, so you've got this chair. You're about to go on to this cabaret stage to perform your burlesque act. And what is your stage name?
Oh,
please welcome to the stage.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Oh, what would that be? Well, my very close friends call me Lil, so I'll be Lil.
I love that. I love that. And Lil can be different than Leigh, right?
Yes,
Lil has a different energy.
It does. Lil to me is just more personal, and it does definitely has a different energy to me. If I hear other people call me that, it usually goes, oh, like, it feels different for me than the people that I'm used to calling me that. It's definitely feels like two different energies for sure.
Yeah, it really is. And, we have all kinds of different energies. And we talk a lot about this in Confidence Through Cabaret around the different energies. And certainly if you have the imposter voice that's, kind of telling you don't do that, or who are you to do this, or, you shouldn't be going live, nobody's going to, whatever, then we listen to that voice, and obviously that voice is there to protect us and all of those things. So it's not a bad thing to have that. But, we need to be able to also have that really fierce voice that goes, you know what?
I'm loud. Yeah.
Lil, and Lil is going live, and Lil is the program. And, and it's that. It's tapping into that. And what's interesting to me is how many people, when I ask them that question, they'll go, oh, I don't know, because they'll try and make it a logical thing. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to be, I don't know, Queen Lil, but I'm not because what are people going to think? And then it's all of those kind of beliefs come out, right? Couldn't possibly take up that much space because the queen, I would rule the whole damn space, and I couldn't possibly do that. So maybe I'll, and so people will try and shrink it down or try and make something really clever that will be pleasing other people. And it's quite interesting with that question because so many people will expose their kind of self-limiting beliefs just something like that,
Yes. Yeah. Can see how that would happen for sure. I love the Queen Lil. I'm going with Queen Lil.
I love
I'm taking up space.
Right? Like, damn it, Queen Lil. Like,
absolutely.
Queen Lil can do whatever she wants with the damn chair.
Yes.
And it's that, I love it. I love that energy. And I think, I love to share that with each of my guests because I think it is such a gift to be able to step into that power and go, you know what? I fully could do this.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yes. Yeah, I've actually got this full, very clear image in my head of me on stage with Queen Lil with my chair demanding.
Why wouldn't you do it? I mean, you've even got access to it, right? Like you even know somebody who could get you a show or get you into a studio or get you into that kind I'm world. And
it's so much fun.
How many times people say, well, I couldn't possibly do that. And I did this. I'm too old to do this.
Ah, yes. Never too old. Yeah.
I know. And I definitely don't subscribe to that anymore. But it's funny how many people will say, I was younger, I would do burlesque. No. There are people in their 80s performing, so.
Absolutely, yeah. I play squash with a lady who's she'd have to be, I think she'd be in her early 70s, and she does burlesque performances. Like it's just fun. It's just get out there and it's for ourselves, not for other people. It's to be self-expressed and have fun. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's that. And what I love about your work is that it frees you up to say, I don't care what you think. Like if you don't like it, don't be here in this space.
Exactly. Yeah. So yes, exactly.
It's that. And when you're talking about, freeing yourself from those limiting beliefs and, really being able to break your glass ceilings and, all of the work that you're doing, it's that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I came from that place of caring what people thought. I suffered depression many years ago, and I looked to alcohol to actually create confidence for myself because I didn't feel like people liked I talked too much or I did this and I was too much of that or not enough of that. I had all of this stuff going on years ago before I had the kids, and so that was how I got through things. And it's just so liberating to get rid of that. And now it's like if I have somebody that doesn't like what I do, it's like you don't pay my bills. There's no bearing on me whatsoever. You just keep moving or keep scrolling. I had a lady that reached out to me and didn't like I do Friday funnies because I love to laugh and I love to share laughter, and I do Snapchat filters every Friday. Just do something funny. And a lady reached out to me and she said, I actually find them disturbing when I come across your profile. And the only one comment. And I mean, I could give into that and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop. But I'm like, yeah, no, that's okay. I enjoy doing it and that's all that matters. And if you don't like that, you can just keep scrolling or unfollow me. And she said, well, no, I don't want to unfollow you. I love what you do. I'm like, that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. Just keep scrolling when you come to it. It's like, it doesn't matter. You know, once upon a time I would have freaked out for that, but now it's just like, no, I'm doing what I love to do. And yeah.
I love your story and the transformation and the bit where now you're going, keep scrolling.
Yeah.
I love that to me is a Queen Lil phrase. It's like,
yes, keep scrolling.
I love it.
Love it.
Oh, that is so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to remind everybody about Release and Rise, the program. If you get in touch with Leigh W Walker, Leigh, and the letter W for whiskey, and then Walker is Walker on Facebook or Instagram, then you'll be able to send Leigh a message and find out more about the Release and Rise or about timeline therapy, or any questions that you have about this. If you do have questions or comments, this is being shown all over the place. So if you're on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you can also check out the audio version anywhere you get your podcast. Just search Confidence Through Cabaret. If you're on the podcast, you can search the Vodcast playlist on YouTube. See, that annoys some people. They're like, Vodcast. I'm like, it's a video podcast. Word, I'm doing it. I'm going with it. So if you're on the podcast and you want to see the video version, go onto Confidence Through Cabaret on YouTube, and it is the Vodcast playlist. You'll find Leigh and I on there. So please like and subscribe wherever you are, and leave your comments or your questions, and then I'll relay those to Leigh. I'll get back to you. I am Confidence Through Cabaret everywhere on all of the socials, so you can join our wonderful supportive community on Facebook. And in there, we are all about uplifting and growing unshakable confidence. And we talk a lot about personal life, work life, and stage life. And your stage is wherever you show up. So for Leigh and I right now, our stage is on podcast and on socials, right?
Yes.
I just love how people go, stage? It's like, yeah, we're all on a stage. I don't care if you're on a Zoom call at work presenting your ideas. That's your stage.
Exactly. Yeah. I love what you do.
Thank you. So anywhere that you get in touch with us, if you want any more information, or you want to share comments, or something has resonated with you in this about this subject, then get in touch with Leigh and have a conversation about it. You know, we're all about collaboration, so I would love it if we could, you know, our communities can all really kind of find what they're looking for in terms of raising their confidence.
I love that. Thank you so much, beautiful. Thank you for everyone who's listening or watching. It's been wonderful. Thank you for your time.
It has, and I'm so happy because we're coming up to, like, we're over 3/4 of an hour, and you were like, what? I'll never talk for that long. And I was like, yeah, you'll see.
Yeah, I love it.
It's so much fun. Thank you for joining us, Leigh Walker.
Thank you.
Listening or watching, check out Confidence Through Cabaret wherever you get any of your socials. The only place we are not Confidence Through Cabaret is on Twitter. We are at YBYWYS. On Clubhouse, I am at Heather YBYWYS, and those 6 letters stand for it is your body, and it is your world, and it is your stage. Take up space and own it.
Love that. So good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Leigh.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.